Hello and welcome to Dylan's Bible Study. Let's straighten you out a little bit here. Oh, not good enough for anybody in the viewership who's OCD? Yeah, looks good. Yeah, cool. Actually, give it a little bit more that way. Bam. Because I built houses, and so I know what like straight looks like. I don't have a level. That would be cool. Build one of these tripod stands with a level on it. It's a good idea, eh? Oh, Olipop. Fire. The ingredients there. Olipop. Drink for today. Praise be to El, the glorious, the perfect one. Today we are in day 187, Job 32 to 33, Acts 14. Put that up there for you. Let's see if I can. Okay. I'm going to start with a prayer, because of course we will. This table's a little close because I need all 5 Bibles in my reach. So I'm going to skirt down through. I'm going to say, Father Yahuwah, I call out for you, I cry for you. We all cry for you. That's why we're here. Supplicate ourselves to you to do our best to love you and show you our faces, that you show us yours. Father Yahuwah, let me be your vessel and speak through me. Let your Holy Spirit speak through me. Silence the ones who are not speaking with your Spirit, Father Yahuwah, your set-apart Spirit, your Holy Spirit, your Ruach HaKodesh. Let them not speak in your name. Father Yahuwah, they have no inheritance with you. Father Yahuwah, I do my best. I try my best. Let me listen to the Holy Spirit. In the mighty name of Yeshua HaMashiach, amen. Yeah, so humble supplication. Title for today. No, I have no idea what we're going to talk about in Job 32, but if you think it takes you 9 months to read the Bible, we're on a year plan, and these Bible readings get real long. So if you have the time to dedicate, like I've been blessed to have, then go for it. And if you can do it in 9 months, go for it. But I'll tell you, if you think you're going to just read this and understand it, you are wrong. I don't care how smart you are. I don't care who you are. Professors from MIT have tried that. A lot of atheists have tried that. A lot of different crazy people throughout the years. And if you don't have the heart condition to do this, saying, I want to know the creator of the universe, Yahuwah Elohim, you will fall flat on your face and be left stranded. Father Yahuwah, hear our prayer. And if there's any witnesses down there who need prayer, let us come together and witness for them, in testimony for them. Cry out for them. Your brothers who seeks Yahuwah, point them to the gate. Job 32. Then these 3 men ceased to answer Job because he was righteous in his own eyes. And the wrath of Elihu, son of Barachel, the Buzite, of the clan of Ram, burned against Job. His wrath burned because he declared himself right rather than Elohim. And against his 3 friends his wrath burned, because they had found no answer and pronounced Elohim wrong. And because they were years older than he, Elihu had waited to speak to Job. And when Elihu saw that there was no answer in the mouth of these 3 men, his wrath burned. And Elihu, son of Barachel, the Buzite, responded and said, I am young in years, and you are aged. Therefore I was afraid to let you know my opinion. I said, days should speak, and many years should teach wisdom. But truly it is the Spirit in man and the breath of the Almighty that gives him understanding. The multitude are not wise, nor do the aged understand right ruling. Therefore I have said, listen to me. Let me also make my opinion known to you. Look, I waited for your words. I listened to your reasonings, while you searched out what to say, and I paid close attention to you. But look, not one of you proved Job wrong, nor answered his words, lest you say, we have found wisdom. It is El that drives him away, not man. Now he has ordered words against me, so I would not answer him with your words. They have broken down. They have not answered again. Words have departed from them. And I have waited, but they do not speak, because they have stood still. They answered no more. Let me answer on my part. Let me also make my opinion known. For I am filled with words. The Spirit within me presses me. See, within me it is like wine not opened. It shall burst like new wineskins. Let me speak so that I find relief. Let me open my lips and answer. Please let me not show partiality to anyone, nor let me flatter any man. For I do not know how to flatter, lest my Maker should soon take me away. Ooh, so we've got a complete change in scene, change in disposition here, change in characters. Elihu, I don't know Elihu. I will tell you, I'm going to look up this clan of Ram because it sounds familiar and I don't know where else it would be, so I'm going to do that first. Let's see, is there a... Okay. Alright, so I have a footnote here in the New American Bible that says 32:2, Elihu means my God is he. This speaker was from Buz, which according to Jeremiah 25:23 was near Tema and Dedan. A young man, he impetuously and impatiently upbraids Job for his boldness toward God and the three friends for not successfully answering Job. He undertakes to defend God's absolute justice and to explain more clearly why there is suffering. While fundamentally his position is the same as that of the three friends, he does locate more definitely, though not perfectly, the place of suffering in the divine plan. To their opinion. He didn't do it perfectly. Which he sets up in 32, and then I believe in 33 we're going to see his answer, if you will. But let's go to Jeremiah 25:23. Which is going to be way out of Isaiah. Jeremiah 25:23. So my original thought was, and let's see what the my original thought was to keep a finger in Jeremiah 25, but I thought it was Ezekiel. Verse 3. And Baruch read the words of this scroll. Oh, this is Baruch. Who the heck's Baruch? What? We were in Ezekiel. Okay. Alright. The word of the Lord came to the priest Ezekiel, the son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans by river of Chebar. Their hand of the Lord was upon them. And this does not have a note. I'd heard that Buzi was a rich man, but I don't have a note here for that. I was trying to check the validity of that. we all hear things, and you can't believe everything that you hear and where they got it from, but it's good to check, and even checking, what's said where by these different Bible translations. So let's go to, because that was the first thing that came to mind, was Ezekiel, son of Buzi, because it says Buzite, the Buzite. All right, Jeremiah 25:23. Okay, well, let's start at 19. Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and his servants, his princes, all the people under him, native and foreign, all the kings of the land of Uz. Okay, we know that Job is in the land of Uz, so okay, so we've got context now for Job's and princes, all the people under him, foreign and nation, all the foreign and native, all the kings of the land of Uz, all the kings of the land of the Philistines, Ashkelon, Gaza, Ekron, and the remnant of Ashdod, Edom, Moab, and the Ammonites, all the kings of Tyre and Sidon, Sor and Sidon, and of the shores beyond the sea, Dedan and Tama and Buz, all the deserts dwellers who shave their temples, all the kings of Arabia. So somewhere in Arabia is, which I do believe that that's how Job had started, was somewhere in Arabia. Somewhere in Edom or Arabia, yeah. And this is where they get it. All the kings of Zimri or Elam of the Medes, all the kings of the north, near and far, one after the other, all the kingdoms upon the face of the earth, and after them the king of Sheshka shall drink. Northern Arabian tribes. Tell them, thus said the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, drink, become drunk and vomit, fall, never to rise before the sword that I will send among you. If they refuse to take the cup from your hand and drink, say to them, thus said the Lord of hosts, you must drink. For since with this city which is called by my name I begin to inflict evil, how can you possibly be spared? You shall not be spared. I will call down the sword upon all who inhabit the earth, says the Lord of hosts. And then we get into a deep prophecy. Prophesy against them all these things and say to them, the Lord roars from on high. From his holy dwelling he raises his voice. Mightily he roars over the range, a shout like that of vintagers over the grapes. To all who inhabit the earth to its very ends, the uproar spreads, for the Lord has an indictment against the nations. He is to pass judgment upon all mankind. The godless shall be given to the sword, says the Lord. Thus says the Lord of hosts, lo, calamity stalks from nation to nation. A great storm is unleashed from the ends of the earth. On that day, those whom the Lord has slain will be strewn from one end of the earth to the other. None will mourn them, none will gather them for burial. They shall lie like dung on the field. Howl, you shepherds, and wail. Roll in the dust, leaders of the flock. The time for your slaughter has come. Like choice rams you shall fall. There is no flight for the shepherds, no escape for the leaders of the flock. Listen, wailing from the shepherds, howling by the leaders of the flock. For the Lord lays waste their grazing place. Desolate lie the peaceful pastures. The lion leaves his hair, and the land is made desolate by the sweeping sword, by the burning wrath of the Lord. Okay. Let's go back to Job 31. Or 32. Excuse me. All right. Then these three men ceased to answer Job because he was righteous in his own eyes. So, since chapter 4, they show up in chapter 2, Job talks in chapter 3. Since chapter 4, they've been rebuking him back and forth, taking turns. And then Job in 26, he build 25 hosts Job. I'm sorry for being greedy and withholding from you, Yahweh. And Bildad the Shuhite answers in 25 and has a very short rebuke to Job, basically about how rule and fear belong to him, making peace in his high places. Like, it's one final, like, do you not see how great he is, and you're gonna go face to face with him? And then 26, 27, 28 26, he lays out for them all his, like, as far as I'm concerned, that's his wisdom. Along with 28, transitionally, but 26 shows what Job knows about the bridge between the physical and the spiritual realms. 27 is a what is this? A active disposition of Job should he view himself as a defiled man. So he says this is what I would expect if I was a defiled man, and gives witness to the expectation of his expectation of curse if he was defiled. And then in 28, he transitions from this expectation of curse into a drawing of heart condition by which you're led astray, in which he asks, where is wisdom? Then in 29, he says how he actually lives. So, like, he basically says, I'm smarter than you. I would understand if I did these things. And this is how I might act if I was going to be deserving of the curse. This is how I actually act. 30 comes, and he's now drawing contrast of the way that people look at him. So you know when you're walking in the Spirit, people see that. There's a quality of admiration that people around you will endear because of the Spirit of truth being upon you and the authority of Elohim being within you. Because you have a good relationship with the most powerful being, period. End of sentence. 31 is a cry to El. Does he not see my ways and number all my steps? And when he punishes, what should I answer him? If I have covered my transgressions like Adam by hiding my crookedness in my bosom, then let me fear the great crowd. He cries out. He says, I want to make my case. And not only does he want to make his case, but he has determined, as we see in verse 32:1, he was righteous in his own eyes. And so he wants to bring that before El. And we're going to see how wrong that is, but tell me that you wouldn't feel a little bit defensive if all this came upon you when you felt that you did the best you could, you know? It's like you know, went to, you know, you trained every day, 12 hours a day, then you went into the boxing ring and you just got knocked flat on your face in one punch. You'd be like, I just did all that for nothing, you know. And so he almost wants a rematch. Okay, so he was righteous in his own eyes. And this is why Elihu stands up, because Job holds steadfast to his righteousness, which technically he's not wrong. And this is what's important here, is that man was perfect and straight. We don't see any different told to us. So at no point did he go astray. He just gets challenged. He gets thrown into the ring when he wasn't ready. There was no warning. It's like, you're training 12 hours a day, and, your manager comes in and says, fight. And it's like, what? Boom! So, yeah. Didn't expect that, did you? He's like, I'm a good fighter. Trust me. And the wrath of Elihu, son of Barachel, the Buzite of the clan of Ram, burned against Job. His wrath burned because he declared himself right rather than Elohim. I was going to look up where Ram is, but I think we answered that with the Buzite thing. Booze. I thought it was somewhere in Arabia, where really is Arabia, but it's in the Middle East. His wrath burned because he declared himself right rather than Elohim. Ultimately, what we need to understand is that Elohim is always right. And it's unfortunate for us humans because we don't always get the answer. It's like when your mom says go upstairs, when your dad says go upstairs. I don't know, I was always disciplined by my mom, so. But when dad says go upstairs and doesn't tell you why, and like maybe he's fighting with your mom, and so it's like, get out of the room right now. Like he's right. Like you just do it, and maybe you find out why later, and maybe you don't, but it's just an order, and that's it. So he's always right when you're a little child, which we are to Elohim. We are his children. As a human, it's very difficult to view that way. And people like Peter is a great example. Denies Jesus 3 times before the cock crows. Somebody like Moshe, saying, who am I to speak? And he keeps, in Exodus 4, he keeps saying, hey, I'm not the guy for this, I'm not the guy for this. And then Yah gives Moses Aaron. And Moshe answered and said, if they do not believe me nor listen to my voice and say, Yahweh has not appeared to you. And Yahweh said to him, so he just phrases it like, Yahweh has not appeared to you. Like, he doesn't even ask really a question. Like, and if they do not believe me, nor listen to my voice and say, Yahweh has not appeared to you. Like Yahweh knows what's being asked here, and it's just an implication of, like, who am I? You know what I mean? Why should I, like if somebody walked up to me and said this, I wouldn't believe them. So what proof do I have? And Yahweh said to him, what is that in your hand? And he said, a rod. And he said, throw it on the ground. So he threw it on the ground, and it became a serpent. And Moshe fled from it. And Yahweh said to Moshe, reach out your hand and seize it by the tail. So he reached out his hand and took hold of it, and it became a rod in his hand. Now, let's also note that this tail, you wouldn't grab a snake by the tail. You grab it behind its head, because then it can't bite you. So grab it by the tail. So that they believe that Yahweh Elohim of their fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Yitzchak, and the Elohim of Jacob has appeared to you. And Yahweh said to him again, now put your hand into your bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom, and when he took it out, and see, his hand was leprous like snow. And he said, put your hand in your bosom again. So he put his hand in his bosom again, and drew it out of his bosom, and see, it was restored like his other flesh. And it shall be, if they do not believe you, nor listen to the voice of the first sign, they shall believe the voice of the latter sign. And it shall be, if they do not believe even those 2 signs, or listen to your voice, that you shall take water from the river, and pour it on the dry land. And the water which you take from the river shall become blood on the dry land.
And Moshe said to Yahweh, O Yahweh, I am not a man of words, neither before nor since you have spoken to your servant, for I am slow of speech and slow of tongue. And Yahweh said to him, Who has made man's mouth, or who makes dumb or deaf or seeing or blind? Is it not I, Yahweh? And now go, and I shall be with your mouth and teach you what to say. But he said, O Yahweh, please send by the hand of him whom you would send. And the displeasure of Yahweh burned against Moshe, and he said, Is not Aaron the Levite your brother? I know that he speaks well. And see, he is also coming out to meet you. And when he sees you, he shall be glad in his heart. And you shall speak to him, and put the words in his mouth, and I am with your mouth, and with his mouth, and I shall teach you what to do. And he shall speak for you to the people. We're not going to go any farther into 16. But the point being that Moshe keeps kind of pushing back against Yahweh, and it's not the confidence in Yahweh that he has, it's the confidence in himself, so to speak. And so it's very easy to get caught up in your own righteousness and forget that Elohim is Elohim. Yahweh is Elohim. And Elihu, as it said, my God is he. Yeah, he's got we see him wanting to take his stab at convincing Job of, we don't exactly know how is he going to do it. Is he going to convince Job of his own unrighteousness, his own humanity for attacking El in the first place? Saying like that's your wrong right there. This is a test of your faith and you're failing. Or is he going to say, it doesn't matter whether you're right or wrong, El's right? We don't know. But he's basically saying as far as this, that Elohim is always right indefinitely. And he has to be because he's Elohim. And against his 3 friends his wrath burned because they had found no answer and pronounced Elohim wrong. So he's just mad at Eliphaz and Sophar and Bildad because they couldn't convince Job. And they give it a valiant effort, but I will say in reading them, every one of their verses, every one of their chapters seems to be more calming him down, like consoling him, more than it does saying, shut up, sit down, get through this, be patient, and let El do what El does. And that's what you really need to say to people, is just go through it. Those were not gunshots, they were fireworks if you heard them earlier. And because they were years older than he, Elihu had waited to speak to Job. We read a couple times. We don't know exactly how old everybody is here, but definitely in the beginning it had been said that more it says, I was looking for this the other day too. Yeah, where is this? There's a couple times in here. Where it says basically, Eliphaz the Temanite in 15. Would a wise man answer with vain knowledge, or fill his belly with the east wind? Would he reason with useless talk, or by speeches with which do not profit? Indeed, you do away with reverence and withhold your prayer before El. For your crookednesses teach your mouth what to say, and you choose the tongue of the crafty. Not I, but your own mouth condemns you, and your lips witness against you. Were you the firstborn, or were you made before the hills? Have you heard the secret counsel of Eloah, and do you limit wisdom to yourself? What do you know that we do not know? Understand that is not within us. Both the gray-haired and the aged are among us, much older than your father. Are the comforts of El not enough for you, and a word that deals gently with you? So, the gray-haired and the aged, this is the example that of the age with wisdom, but also that they're there as elders. They're there as the experienced. You know, all we know is that they're his friends, and we don't know. You know, Job is old enough to have 10 kids, I think. Say how many? Seven sons and 3 daughters. So he's old enough to have 10 kids. So, but not that that really means anything, because that's kind of what they did. But, and these are his friends. And 3 friends of Job, 2:11, heard of all this evil that came on him, and each one came from his own place. You know, but they're all from different towns: Temanite, Shuhite, Namathite. So not only is Job, presumably these are different towns, and you know, he's well liked and well respected, and so these men come for him. But they were older than he. Elihu had waited to speak to Job, and we don't know really the relation of Elihu to Job, but let's see if we find out. And when Elihu saw that there was no answer in the mouth of these 3 men, his wrath burned. So after Job gives his final testimony, he basically goes on a tangent, and nobody has any response. Elihu is then pressed, it says, by the Spirit to answer him. When Elihu saw that there was no answer in the mouth of these 3 men, his wrath burned, and now he's angry, because he kept silent, expecting them to answer him, and he was like, do you guys not see how simple this is? And Elihu, son of Barakel, the Buzite, responded and said, I am young in years, and you are aged. Therefore I was afraid to let you know my opinion. I said, days should speak, and many years should teach wisdom. Wisdom, where is it found, and where is the place of understanding? 28:12 and 28:28. And he said to man, see, the fear of Yahweh, that is wisdom, and to turn from evil is understanding. Wisdom is not necessarily in the aged. Okay? Are many wise beyond their years. Many wise beyond their years. Except for the guys that Rehoboam was talking to, they just were lost. If y'all remember from 2 Chronicles 10. He leads counselors away stripped and makes judges go mad. He loosens the bonds of sovereigns and binds a girdle on their loins. This is 12:17. Who leads away priests as a spoil and overthrows the mighty, turning aside the lip of the trusted one and takes away the discernment of the elders, pouring scorn on nobles and loosens the girdle of the strong. revealing deep matters out of darkness, and he brings the shadow of death to light, making nations great, and he destroys them, spreading out the nations, and he leads them away, turning aside the heart of the chiefs of the people of the earth, and he makes them wander in a pathless waste. Okay, so, yeah. He, Elohim, Yahweh. Verse 12. All of this Yahweh can do. Who among all these does not know that the hand of Yahweh has done this? Verse 9. In whose hand is the life of all that live and the breath of all mankind? Does the ear not try words and the mouth taste food for itself? Alright. So, because calendar notifications are annoying, pardon my finger, more. Text messages as well. I'm gonna have to put my phone on Do Not Disturb when I'm doing this. I think I've said that before. I'm gonna turn my phone off. Well, I need my other phone to use for the lookups. Days should speak and many years should teach wisdom. That's why we have elders. Leviticus 27, speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when a man separates a vow by your evaluation of lives unto Yahweh, when your evaluation is of a male from 20 years old up to 60 years old, then your evaluation shall be 50 shekels of silver, according to the shekel of the set-apart place. And if it is a female, then your evaluation shall be 30 shekels. And if from 5 years old up to 20 years old, then your evaluation for a male shall be 20 shekels, and for a female 10 shekels. And if from a new moon old to 5 years old, then your evaluation for a male shall be 5 shekels of silver, and for a female shall be 3 shekels of silver. And if from 60 years old and above, if it is a male, then your evaluation shall be 15 shekels, and for a female 10 shekels. But if he is too poor to pay your evaluation, then he shall present himself before the priest, and the priest shall set a value for him, according to the ability of him who vowed. The priest shall value him. And if it is a beast of which they bring an offering to Yahweh, all such given to Yahweh is set apart. He is not to replace it or exchange it, good for spoilt or spoilt for good. And if he at all exchanges beast for beast, then both it and the one exchanged for are set apart. And if it is any unclean beast, of which do they... Alright. So, the set apartness to L. You do not exchange. But truly it is the spirit in man and the breath of the Almighty that gives him understanding. What? And he said to man, see, the fear of Yahweh, that is wisdom, and to turn from evil is understanding. But truly it is the spirit in man and the breath of the Almighty that gives him understanding. What do we have in 32:8? But it is a spirit in man, the breath of the Almighty, that gives him understanding. Wow, the exact same thing. Interesting. They all say exactly the same thing. The inspiration of the Almighty. Okay. The multitude are not wise, nor do the aged understand right ruling. He's going deep with this. Therefore I have said, listen to me. Let me also make my opinion known to you. Look, I waited for your words. I listened to your reasonings, while you searched out what to say. And I paid close attention to you. But look, not one of you proved Job wrong, nor answered his words. Lest you say, we have found wisdom. It is El that drives him away, not man. These occurrences weren't from man, they were from El. It's not like he got overtaken by a king. Actually, most of the things that happen aren't from man, they're from El. In the life in the world, but specifically in the scriptures. We have found wisdom. It is El that drives him away, not man. Now he has not ordered words against me, so I would not answer him with your words. They have broken down, they have not answered again. Words have departed from them. And I have waited, but they do not speak. Because they stood still, they answered no more. Let me answer on my part. Let me also make my opinion known. For I am filled with words. The spirit within me presses me. Alright, so look at this. The spirit within me presses me. Your words, so he's Elihu. And I don't know how old this man is, but be like a little child, Matthew 18:6, I believe. Who is the greatest in the reigns of heaven? Be humble like this little child. Matthew 18:4. Whoever then humbles himself as this little child is the greatest in the reign of the heaven. The humbleness, the humility. Elihu has been humble. He's allowed the elder men to speak. And now I just picture them all staring at each other. And Elihu's there, maybe like, I don't know, I was going to say like his dad's there. But, man, I watched a kid get told not to talk in a conversation by his dad. And that just, I think I've talked about this before. It just blew me away. I just didn't like it. And this is why. Because you never know who's going to have something to say. And you can learn something from younger kids. And if they say that you can't, you're wrong, and you're not humbling yourself before them. Everything and everybody has something to teach you. And the Spirit lives in all people. I've watched the Spirit enter people who didn't know the Spirit. And I've said many times, this goes back to the spiritual exchange of love, that's what we're doing, that we're giving the spiritual exchange of love for Elohim, for Yahuwah to learn everything that he can about everything that goes on with his creation. He does not fail, he does not make mistakes, but he, although seeing that people are very good, it is not good for man to be alone. I am going to make him a helper as a counterpart. And Elohim said, see, the man has become like one of us, to know good and evil. And now lest he put out his hand and take also from the tree of life and eat and live forever. So Elohim sent him out of the Garden of Eden to till the ground from which he was taken. And he drove the man out, and he placed cherubim at the east of the Garden of Eden, and a flaming sword which turned every way to guard the way to the tree of life. Lest he put out his hand and take also from the tree of life and eat and live forever. What is the life that Yeshua brings us? Might it be everlasting? John 6:47, truly, truly, I say to you, he who believes in me possesses everlasting life. Praise Yahuwah. Come on. For I am filled with words, the spirit within me presses me. See, within me it is like wine not opened. It shall burst like new wineskins. Let me speak so that I find relief. Let me open my lips and answer. Please let me not show partiality to anyone, nor let me flatter any man. For I do not know how to flatter, lest my Maker should soon take me away. Do not take your compliments from man. Take them from Elohim. Alright. Job 33. And yet, O Job,
Please hear my speech and listen to all my words. See, please, I shall open my mouth. My tongue shall speak in my mouth. My words are from the uprightness of my heart. My lips shall speak knowledge clearly. The Spirit of El has made me, and the breath of the Almighty gives me life. If you are able, answer me. Set yourself in order. Before me, take your stand. See, I am like you before El. I too have been formed out of clay. See, no fear of me should alarm you, nor should pressure by me be heavy on you. But you have spoken in my hearing, and the sound of word I hear saying, I am clear without transgression. I am innocent, and I have no crookedness. See, he finds occasions against me. He counts me as his enemy. He puts my feet in the stocks. He watches all my paths. See, in this you have not been righteous. Let me answer you, Eloah is greater than man. Why have you complained against him? Because he does not answer all his matters? For El does speak once or twice, though one does not notice it. In a dream and a vision of the night, when deep sleep falls on men while slumbering on a bed, then he opens the ears of men and seals their instruction, to turn man from his deed and cover men from pride, and cover pride from man. He keeps back his being from the pit, and his life from passing away by the sword, and he is reproved with pain on his bed, and with unceasing distress in his bones, so that his life loathes bread, and his being desirable food. His flesh wastes away, and his bones which are not seen stick out, and his being draws near the pit, and his life to the destroyers. If there is a messenger for him, a mediator, one among 1,000, to show man his straightness, then he shows favor to him and says, Release him from going down to the pit. I have found an atonement. Lest his flesh become fresher than a child's, let him return to the days of his youth. He prays to Eloah, and he accepts him, and he sees his face with joy, and he restores to man his righteousness. He sings to men and says, I have sinned, and I have perverted what was right, and it did not profit me. He has redeemed my being from going down to the pit, and my life sees the light. See, El does all these, twice, 3 times with a man, to bring back his being from the pit, to be enlightened with the light of the living. Pay attention, Job. Listen to me. Keep silent and let me speak. If there are words, answer me. Speak, for I desire to declare you right. If not, listen to me. Keep silent and let me teach you wisdom. Bam! Bars from Elihu. Bars from Elihu. Alright. We do have to say again in 10:28, and I give them everlasting life, and they shall by no means ever perish, and no one shall snatch them out of my hand. I was looking for the quote where it says, you serve man. There's a couple of them.
know how it's worded though. It's not like you take your props from man. It's you take something. It's not you serve man. It's arguing with the Pharisees. Father, where is this? Jog my memory. I'm drawing a straight blank right now. All right. And Job, and yet, O Job, please hear my speech and listen to all my words. See, please, I shall open my mouth, my tongue shall speak in my mouth. My words are from the uprightness of my heart. My lips shall speak knowledge clearly. What's up? I'm sorry for being disobedient. Can we just find where this is? Okay. What are the words? My words are from the uprightness of my heart. My lips shall speak knowledge clearly. Go to Matthew 10. This is the one that I can remember right now. And I can't for the life of me. Excuse me, remember why. And do not fear, Matthew 10:28, and do not fear those who kill the body, but are unable to kill the being, but rather him who is able to destroy both being and body in Gehenna. Yeah. So. Let's see. Take their praise. Praise is the word. Okay, John 12. Thanks, yeah. John 12:43. Okay. Start at 35. Yeshua therefore said to them, Yet a little while the light is with you, Walk while you have the light, lest darkness overtake you. And he who walks in darkness does not know where he is going. While you have the light, believe in the light, so that you become sons of light. These words Yeshua spoke and went off and was hidden from them. But though he had done so many signs before them, they did not believe in him, that the word of Yeshayahu the prophet might be filled, which he spoke. Yahuwah, who has believed our report, and to whom has the arm of Yahuwah been revealed. Because of this, they were unable to believe, because again Yeshayahu said, he has blinded their eyes and hardened their heart, so that they should not see their eyes and understand with their heart, and turn, and I should heal them. Yeshayahu said this when he saw his esteem and spoke of him. Still, even among the rulers, many did believe in him, because of the Pharisees, they did not confess him, lest they should be put out of the congregation, for they love the praise of men more than the praise of Elohim. Then Yeshua cried out and said, he who believes in me believes not in me, but in him who sent me. And he who sees me sees him who sent me. I have come as a light into the world, so that no one who believes in me should stay in darkness. And that's a central theme throughout Job, is the darkness versus the light. And we get so much reflection into insight into the Messiah in 33 and the desires and the need for the Messiah, as I've said, building up from 9:33. There is no mediator between us to lay his hand upon us both. And then we had 14, 11, and 12. Water disappears from the sea, and a river dries up and is parched, and man shall lie down and not rise till the heavens are no more. They awake not, nor are aroused from their sleep. We had, if only you would hide me in Sheol, conceal me until your wrath turns away. Set for me a law and remember me. If a man dies, would he live again? All the days of my struggle I wait till my change comes. So we're going to go 14:14. 18:4, you who tear yourself to pieces in displeasure, would the earth be forsaken for your sake, or the rock move from its place? The rock before the tomb, the rock that the church is built on. 24:16. There's another one in 21. In the dark he has broken into houses. By day they shut themselves up. They have not known light. So, and then we go farther into this darkness and light here. Redemption, mediator. It's all in here. The Spirit of El has made me, and the breath of the Almighty gives me life. Similar to what he said, truly it is the Spirit in man and the breath of the Almighty that gives him understanding. The Spirit of El has made me, and the breath of the Almighty has given me light. We know Ezekiel 37:9. We know John 20:22. We know Genesis 2:7. We've gone through all those. If you are able, answer me. Set yourself in order before me. Take your stand. He said, if you can rebuttal me, rebuttal me. And he actually, just kind of peeking ahead to 34, Elihu gets another chapter. So he goes on. Job had quite a few chapters, verses, and pages in his last speech, and Elihu's about to bang him up. If you are able, answer me, set yourself in order before me, take your stand. Let's go. Let's get it. See, I am like you before El. I too have been formed out of clay. I'm a man just like you. See, no fear of me should alarm you, nor should pressure by me be heavy on you. Look, I don't speak on my behalf. I speak on El's behalf, which is tight and ballsy as it is. But he's also saying, this is a very respectful way of saying you don't have to listen to me. I'm a man just like you, so what do I really know? Because he is speaking on El's behalf, but he's
defending Elohim and his righteousness, but he's not prophesying as far as speaking on behalf of El. See, no fear of me should alarm you, nor should pressure by me be heavy on you. Listen to me, don't listen to me, but you have spoken in my hearing, and the sound of words I hear, saying, okay, you've spoken in my hearing. I happen to be standing here, and so I'm going to put my 2 cents in, and this is what I've heard out of your mouth. I am clear without transgression, I am innocent, and I have no crookedness. Yeah. He kind of says that in 29. I don't know. I put on righteousness, and it robed me. Right ruling was my cloak and turban. See, he finds occasion against me, and he counts me as his enemy. We went through quite a few in 31. Does he not see my ways and number my steps? He gets really lippy. Would he contend with me in great power? No, but he would pay no attention to me. Yeah, I'm gonna keep moving. Is there a verse that you'd like me to say? Yeah, I will. For what is his delight in his house after him? When the number of his new moons is cut off, does anyone teach El knowledge, since he judges those that are exalted? That's totally the opposite. He puts my feet in the stocks. He watches all my paths. See, in this you have not been righteous. Let me answer you. Eloah is greater than man. Why have you complained against him? Because he does not answer all his matters. Okay. See, in this... Okay. 9, 10, and 11 are... He's quoting Job, which... I don't recall directly, but maybe they are direct quotes. But he also is saying this is what your words say. Cumulatively, this is what you're talking about. See, in this, you have not been righteous. In these statements, this is your unrighteousness. And so going back to... how he's going to rebuke Job. Here's where we start to see it. Takes what he says. And this is good debating, too, if you guys need to brush up on that. Eloah is greater than man. Flat out. Let me answer you. See, in this you have not been righteous. Let me answer you. Eloah is greater than man. One statement. Thesis. Eloah is greater than man. His wrath burned because he declared himself right rather than Elohim. Why have you complained against him? Because he does not answer all his matters. For El does speak once or twice, though one does not notice it,
In a dream and a vision of the night, when deep sleep falls upon men while slumbering on a bed, then he opens the ears of men and seals their instruction to turn men from his deed and cover pride from man. This is very deep here. El does speak once or twice, though one does not notice it. If you've ever, and you see me doing it too, what is it? You're witnessing the conversation. But I have trouble hearing sometimes. And whether it's my mouth, whether it's the fact that I'm still talking when I'm trying to listen, or the fact that I've had too much coffee today, or the fact that I just saw something that's got me frazzled. I'm anxious today. I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. I woke up late. I woke up early. I overslept. I overate. I did this. I did that. There's people text messaging me, whatever it is. And so it's very difficult for man to listen. And if you've ever tried having a conversation with El like that, you know this. Now, it's real easy for El to communicate with us in deep sleep, in a dream, in a vision of the night, while slumbering on a bed. Why is it so easy? Then he opens the ears of men and seals their instruction to turn man from his deed and cover pride from men. Because we can't be prideful, we can't be talking, we can't be anxious about our day, we can't be hungry, we're not tired, we have no objection to listening when we're in a deep sleep. Then he can talk to us, then he has our full attention, then he can reach into our heart. That's why he does this. And so if you're having real trouble listening to Elohim, here's what you do. Get on your knees before bed, humble yourself, empty your heart, say, Yahuwah, fill me up with your Holy Spirit, your Ruach HaKodesh. Come into my heart. Let me be clean before you in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach. And please, speak to me in a dream tonight. Give me a dream tonight where I can see your plan for me, where I can see your vision for me, where I can understand your will for me. Where you communicate to me, please talk to me in my dream. And then when you wake up and do not wake up in haste and immediately go like Christmas unwrapping presents, be patient, breathe, love Yahuwah first when you wake up. Thank Yahuwah for communicating via this dream. Okay? Humble yourself. And then wake up, get out of bed, get on your knees, humble yourself again, say, Yahuwah, thank you. What does this dream mean? What does this dream mean, Father Yahuwah? Please explain this to me. I had a dream many years ago that I'm just beginning to understand the interpretation of now. I didn't know to ask him then. I didn't understand how he talks to you through your dreams. And people are like, well, your dreams are just regurgitated crap. And it's like, not really. Not if you have a real relationship with Al. There's some dreams that I have that are recurring that I know what they mean. I know exactly what they mean. I know exactly what stupid stuff I'm doing when I have them. It's the same thing. I hear people that have traumatic dreams and these traumatic dreams, they are not nightmares. Why do you think Yahweh is showing you this and replaying this over and over to you? Because you need to get over it. I love you. You need to get over it. And the only way that you're going to fully empty your heart is to deal with it, reconcile it by any means necessary. Clear it up with Yah. Say, Yahuwah, I forgive these people who have done this to me. Say, Yahuwah, please help me forgive these people who have done this to me. Say, Yahuwah, let me be forgiven by these people who I have wronged. But cry out and clear your heart of that junk.
And if it makes you feel better, some people need to believe that the person that they're hearing from wisdom is perfect. Some people need to believe that they're not perfect, they're just human and they're more relatable. I don't care what you believe of me, I'm perfectly imperfect. And Elihu says this, I am young in years and you are aged, therefore I was afraid to let you know my opinion. But truly it is the spirit in man and the breath of the Almighty that gives understanding. Praise Yahweh. I'm here for you guys. I'm here for you guys. Because of him. For you. For him. For you. Because of him. Because of you. He keeps back his being from the pit, and his life from passing away by the sword. And if you need, you can always ask. Talk to people. Talk to people too. Tell people about your dreams. Keeps back his being from the pit and his life from passing away by the sword. This man keeps back his being from the pit and his life from passing away by the sword, and he is reproved with pain on his bed and with unceasing distress in his bones, so that his life loathes bread and his being desirable food. Man. Elihu's hitting right now. I want to know, is verse 18. Oh, he withholds his soul from the pit. Yeah, see, this contextually should be God. And the only one that I've got with that is the New World Translation that specifies that this is God. But I have to read this, right, as God. God keeps back his being from the pit and his life from passing away by the sword. That is the intention of Yahweh. El. For El does speak once or twice, though one does not notice it. In a dream and a vision of the night, when deep sleep falls upon men while slumbering on a bed, then he, capital H, he, Yahweh Elohim. Let's see if we've got 16. Yeah, and then then he, capital H, he, opens the ears of men and seals their instruction to turn men from his deed, man's deed, lowercase h, and cover pride from men. He, God, keeps back his being, the man's being, from pits, and his life from passing away by the sword. That is why he will seal their instructions, make it very known to them, cover their pride, and let them listen. Speak to them when they can understand, in a way that they can understand. Because he loves them. And how do we know that he loves them? Proverb 3, verse 12. You should be following the Proverbs of the day. Proverb 3, verse 12. For whom Yahweh loves, he reproves, as a father the son whom he delights in. Verse 19. And he is reproved with pain on his bed, and with unceasing distress in his bones, so that his life loathes bread and his being desirable food. So that his life loathes bread. What? All of this? Perfectly the Messiah? Come on. So that his life loathes bread. Acts. Go to Acts. Take it in there.
Acts 2:44, and all those who believed were together and had all in common, and sold their possessions and property, and divided them among all as anyone might have need. And day by day, continuing with one mind in the set apart place, and breaking bread from house to house. And he is reproved with pain on his bed, and with unceasing distress in his bones, so that his life loathes bread, and his being desirable food. Breaking bread from house to house, they ate their food with gladness and simplicity of heart, praising Elohim, and having favor with all the people. What? Having favor with all the people? Did we not show in 29 how much Job was respected? My words are from the uprightness of my heart. My lips shall speak knowledge clearly. And the master added to the assembly those who were being saved day by day. I told you, you can see the Spirit on somebody. You will endear somebody. You will adore a man, a woman who is in the Spirit. They are perfected through Messiah. Elohim. Man, come on. And his being desirable food. You lust for nothing. His flesh wastes away, and his bones which were not seen stick out. And his being draws near the pit, and his life to the destroyers. And his being, his soul possibly. I have in the New World Translation. Can I get a soul? His soul I have in the New American Bible. His soul I have in the King James Bible. His soul I have in the ESV. 4 out of 5 translations mean that the being is the soul. His being draws near the pit, and his life to destroyers. His flesh wastes away, which were not, and his bones which are not sticking out, and his being draws near the pit, and his life to the destroyers. And if there is a messenger for him, a mediator, one among 1,000, to show a man his straightness. What? A mediator? Job 9:33, there is no mediator between us to lay his hand upon us both. A mediator? Hebrews what? Hebrews 9, Hebrews 12, Hebrews, Peter, where is this? 1 Peter 2, Hebrews, is it Hebrews 12 or is it Hebrews 9? Do we know? Can I get an amen? Can I get an amen? Hebrews 12:24, and to Yeshua, the mediator of a renewed covenant. Do I have to go to every translation and see if it says that? I will, just for you guys, because I love you. And Jesus, the mediator of a new covenant, and the sprinkled blood, which speaks in a better way than Abel's blood. Hebrews 12, New World Translation. Hebrews 12 of the New American Bible. What do we got there? We got some cherubs, because this book is slightly pagan, but whatever. In the New American big giant Catholic Bible that was probably $800, but whatever. To Jesus, the mediator of a new covenant. 3 out of 3 so far. Come on, bring it to me. Bring it to me. Every translation has the word mediator. I know it. Look it up on Bible Hub. Hebrews 12:24. Come on. There is no refuting this. He is perfect. He is the mediator. King James. And to Jesus, the mediator of the new covenant, and to the blood of the sprinkling that speaketh better than that of Abel. Better. This blood cries out better than Abel. Go to Genesis 4 and read about the blood of Abel crying out. Hebrews 12:24 in the ESV. And to Jesus, the mediator of a new covenant. 5 out of 5 translations have the mediator of the renewed covenant. His blood sprinkled better than Abel's. Genesis 4:10, and he said, "What have you done? The voice of your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground." Hebrews 12:24. Go to it. And to Yeshua, the mediator of a new covenant, and to the blood of sprinkling, which speaks better than the blood of Abel. Come on. If there is a messenger, his flesh wastes away. Man's flesh wastes away, and his bones which were not seen stick out, and his being draws near the pit, and his life to the destroyers. If there is a messenger for him, a mediator, one among 1,000, to show man his straightness, Elohim's straightness, then he shows favor to him and says, release him from going down to the pit. I have found an atonement. An atonement. The perfect sacrifice. Let his flesh become fresher than a child. Did we not just read 18:4 of Matthew? Who is the greatest in the reigns of the heaven? You cannot. At that time, the taught ones came to him, saying, who then is the greatest in the reigns of the heavens? And Yeshua called a little child to him and set him in their midst, and said, truly I say to you, unless you turn and become as little children, you shall by no means enter into the reign of the heavens. Whoever then humbles himself as this little child is the greatest in the reigns of the heavens. Let his flesh become fresher than a child's. Let him return to the days of his youth. He prays to Eloah, and he accepts him. Put your face in the dirt. And he sees his face with joy, and he restores man to his righteousness. He sings to men and says, I have sinned, and I have perverted what was right, and it did not profit me. He has redeemed my being from going down to the pit, and my life sees the what? It sees the what? The John 8:12, the Genesis 1:4. Is that what it sees? It sees the I am the light of the world. He has redeemed my being from going down to the pit, and my life sees the light. Do we have any notes on this? Not a single note in this New American Bible. Man, what? What? See, El does all these. Twice, 3 times with a man. To bring back his being from the pit, to be enlightened with the light of the living. I am the way and the truth and the life. What is that? That's in John 2. Is that John 5 that we have? No? Is that John? Where is that? John 3? John. John 14:6. Yeshua said to him, I am the way, the truth, and the life, the light of the living. I am the light of the world. I am the way, the truth, the life. Pay attention, Job. Listen to me. Keep silent and let me speak. If there are words, answer me. Speak, for I desire to declare you right. If not, listen to me. Keep silent and let me teach you wisdom. Being taught by a young man. Man. Let's go to it. Hebrews 8:6, but now he has obtained a more excellent service, inasmuch as he is also mediator of a better covenant, which was constituted on better promises. For if the first covenant had been felt faultless, then no place would have been sought for a second. Pay attention, Job. Listen to me. Keep silent and let me speak. If there are words, answer me. Speak, for I desire to declare you right. For if not, listen to me. Keep silent and let me teach you wisdom. A better covenant constituted on better promises. But Messiah, becoming a high priest of the coming good matters through the greater and more perfect tent, not made with hands, that is, not of this creation, entered into the set-apart places once for all, not with the blood of goats and calves, but with his own blood, having obtained everlasting redemption. He has redeemed my being from going down to the pit, and my life sees the light. My life sees the light. Release him from going down to the pit. I have found an atonement, not with the blood of goats and calves, but with his own blood. For if the blood of bulls and goats, this is 9:11 through 13 we're at. For if the blood of bulls and goats and ashes of a heifer sprinkled the defiled set apart for the cleansing of the flesh, how much more shall the blood of the Messiah, who through the everlasting Spirit, capital S Spirit, Holy Spirit, offered himself unblemished to Elohim, cleanse your conscience from dead works to serve the living Elohim. And because of this, he is the mediator of a renewed covenant, so that death having taken place for redemption of the transgression under the first covenant, those who are called might receive the promise of the everlasting inheritance.
Job is crying out for a Messiah.
Job is the reason that we have a Messiah. Job is the human admittance of Yeshua, please help us. The experience with Job, I am testifying to it. We've got 9 chapters left, and throughout this word, there is why Yeshua is HaMashiach.
Excuse me. We're in Acts 14 now. I gotta use the restroom. Okay. Treat for tonight? Cookie. Because I like sweet. I started Job asking the question, is it Messiah? that comes down to speak as the messenger, as Melchizedek. We'll find that out, but I've learned a lot more about Messiah in these 33 chapters of Job. And it turned out it was Hebrews 9 and Hebrews 12 and Hebrews 8.
Acts 14. And it came to be in Iconium that they went together into the congregation of the Yehudim and spoke in such a way that a great number of both Yehudim and Greeks believed. But the Yehudim who would not obey stirred up the nations and evilly influenced their beings against the brothers. So they remained a long time, speaking boldly in the Master, who was bearing witness to the word of his favor, giving signs and wonders to be done by their hands. And the crowd of the city was divided, and some sided with the Yehudim and some with the emissaries. But when a move took place by both the nations and the Yehudim with their rulers to mistreat and stone them, they became aware of it and fled to Lystra and Derbe, cities of Lycaonia, and the country round about. And they were bringing the good news there. And in Lystra there was sitting a certain man disabled in his feet, a cripple from his mother's womb, who had never walked. This one heard Shaul speaking, who, looking intently at him, and seeing that he had belief to be healed, said with a loud voice, "Stand upright on your feet." And he sprang up and began to walk. And when the crowd saw what Shaul had done, they lifted up their voices, saying in Lycaonia, "The mighty ones have become like men and come down to us." And they called Barnabas Zeus and Shaul Hermes, since he was the chief speaker. And the priest of Zeus, being in front of their city, brought oxen and wreaths to the gates and wished to offer with the crowds. And when the emissaries Barnabas and Shaul heard this, they tore their garments and ran in among the crowds, crying out and saying, "Men, why are you doing this? We also are men with the same nature as you, bringing to you the good news, to turn from these worthless matters to the living Elohim, who made the heaven and the earth and the sea and all that is in them, who in past generations allowed all the nations to walk in their own ways, though indeed he did not leave himself without witness, doing good, giving us rain from heaven and fruit-bearing seasons, filling our hearts with food and gladness." Even with these words, they still had difficulty in stopping the crowds from offering to them. But Yehudim arrived from Antioch and Iconium, and having won over the crowds, they stoned Shaul, dragged him out of the city, thinking he was dead. But while the taught ones gathered around him, he rose up and went into the city. And on the next day he went away with Barnabas to Derbe. And having brought the good news to the city, and having made many taught ones, they returned to Lystra and Iconium and Antioch, strengthening the beings of the taught ones, encouraging them to continue in the belief, and that through many pressures we have to enter the reign of Elohim. And having appointed elders in every assembly, having prayed with fasting, they committed them to the Master in whom they had believed. And having passed through Pisidia, they came to Pamphylia, and having spoken the word in Perge, they went down to Attalia. And from there they sailed to Antioch, where they had been committed to the favor of Elohim for the work which they had completed. And having arrived and having gathered together the assembly, they related all that Elohim had done with them, and that he had opened the door of belief to the nations. And they remained there a long time with the taught ones.
Okay, that is chapter 14. And this is Harry. Okay. And it came to be in Iconium that they went together into the congregation of the Yehudim and spoke in such a way that a great number of Yehudim and Greeks believed. So I'm assuming that they're in Greece, not in Rome.
This is Shaul and Barnabas so far, but the Yehudim who would not obey stirred up the nations and evilly influenced their beings against their brothers. Because that's just what Yehudim do sometimes. I don't know, kill a Messiah, stir up the nations and evilly influence their beings against the brothers. So they remained a long time, speaking boldly in the Master, who was bearing witness to the word of his favor, giving signs and wonders to be done by their hands. So they start getting people who believe, and then the Jews who would not obey start basically causing riots against them, and so they remained a long time. So they didn't run away. They were like, oh crap, we better unpack our bags. Speak boldly in the Master, who was bearing witness to the word of his favor. The Master is bearing witness to the word of his favor, Elohim's favor, the favor of Elohim, giving signs and wonders to be done by their hands. There's a lot of little gospel verses. I'm presuming that by now that you know that it is by the favor of Elohim that we come back to him. Job has definitely overtaken Acts at this point as far as our Bible study, but we've also been doing this for 2 months, actually, 60 days today, so you should know basic things like speaking boldly in the Master and bearing witness to the word of his favor, giving signs and wonders to be done by their hand. We get more of this in Romans. That might be why I'm having trouble remembering the verse. That's part of it too. We should know that's common, like Christian speak, is the favor of Elohim, the favor of God. It's in Romans, which I don't want to use because we haven't talked about it yet. But it being in John, we will go there. And out of his completeness, Yeshua, we all did receive, and favor upon favor, for the Torah was given through Moshe. The favor and the truth came through Yeshua Messiah. The favor of Elohim. And now I know. John 1:16, the favor of Elohim. And now you know. Giving signs and wonders to be done by their hands. And the crowd of the city was divided, and some sided with the Yehudim, and some with the emissaries. That's just a bad scene. I mean, like, somebody said to me, Paul started a whole bunch of riots. Totally true, he did. My shirt's loosening here, so it's also like way warm for like, I don't know. It's like 10:30 at night. And it's still like 80 degrees. I've also got jeans and a long sleeve shirt on, but Paul's starting another riot here. But when a move took place by the nations and Yehudim with their rulers to mistreat and stone them, the emissaries, they became aware of it and fled to Lystra and Derbe, cities of Lycaonia and the country round about. The country. They're getting out of the cities. Basically, they're fleeing. Like, it gets hot. They're starting such revolution and riotousness rowdiness that they have to flee. They're like, we got to get out of here, And there is a line, right? Because you can walk in and you can be like, yeah, praise the Messiah. And then other people are like, praise the Messiah. And then, like, it starts getting back and, like, the cops find out and they're like, yo, this is cool. Like, I'm sure that they want to praise the Messiah, but we can't have these two groups fighting in the street right now. So, you know what we can do? We can just kill these guys who are telling everybody to praise the Messiah. And they were bringing the good news there.
So these guys flee once they hear that they're about to be killed, go to some other places, and they just start preaching there. And in Lystra, there was sitting a certain man disabled in his feet, a cripple from his mother's womb who had never walked. This is not the first time we saw this in Acts 3. Also, man, all the friggin' miracles that Yeshua did. This one I should know. We'll take Matthew 9. And entering into a boat, he passed over and came to his own city. And see, they were bringing to him a paralytic lying on a bed. And Yeshua, seeing their belief, said to the paralytic, "Take courage, son, your sins have been forgiven." And see, some of the scribes said to themselves, "This one blasphemes." And Yeshua, knowing their thoughts, said, "Why do you think wicked thoughts in your hearts? For which is easier to say, 'Your sins have been forgiven,' or to say, 'Arise and walk'? But in order for you to know that the Son of Man possesses authority on earth to forgive sins," he then said to the paralytic, "Rise, take up your bed and go to your house." And he rose and went to his house. And when the crowd saw it, they marveled and praised Elohim who had given such authority to men. And then he meets Mattiyahu, the tax collector. Dumb and demon possessed. In 9, he does some great healings in 9. John is beheaded. I am looking for the man by the waters. Matthew 13 is the soil that falls by the wayside and the birds devour it. Others fall on rocky places where they did not have much soil. But when the sun was up, they were scorched, and others fell among thorns, and the thorns came up and choked them. And others fell on good soil and yielded a crop, some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. This we brought at the end, this I was bringing at the end of Job 31, 38. If my land cries out against me, or its furrows weep together, if I have eaten its fruit without payment, or caused its owners to die, let thistles grow instead of wheat, and useless weed instead of barley. And see, Luke 14:2, and see, there was a certain man before him suffering from dropsy. And Yeshua, responding, spoke to those learned in the Torah and the Pharisees, saying, is it right to heal on the Sabbath? They were silent, so taking hold of him, he healed him and let him go. And to them he said, which of you, having a donkey or an ox that has fallen into a pit, shall not immediately pull him out on the Sabbath day? Okay, so we've beat the authority of Yeshua to death, to everlasting life. Okay. Where is... I want to see... Where is this one? It is John 5:7. I'd have never found it there. It was hidden in plain sight. Thought it was there, though. I thought we'd read it. Okay. I have everything that I need right in front of me. For messenger was going down at a certain time, John 5:4. For a messenger was going down at a certain time into the pool and was stirring the water. Whoever stepped in first then after the stirring of the water became well of whatever disease he had. And a certain man was there who had a sickness 38 years. When Yeshua saw him lying there, and knowing that he had already been a long time, he said to him, do you wish to become well? So, we go back to the top. After this, there was a festival of the Yehudim, and Yeshua went to Jerusalem. And in Jerusalem, at the sheep gate, there is a pool which is called in Hebrew Beth Zatha, having 5 porches. In these were lying a great number of those who were sick, blind, crippled, paralyzed, waiting for the stirring of the water. For a messenger was going down at a certain time into the pool and was stirring the water. Whoever stepped in first, then after the stirring of the water, became well of whatever disease he had. And a certain man was there who had a sickness 38 years. When Yeshua saw him lying there, and knowing that he already had been a long time, he said to him, do you wish to become well? The sick man answered him, Master, I have no man to put me into the pool when the water is stirred. But while I am coming, another steps down before me. Yeshua said to him, Rise, take up your bed and walk. And immediately the man became well, and he took up his bed and was walking. Now it was on the Sabbath day. So the point of this is that the Sabbath, but all of these, all of this authority, this messenger can stir up these waters, and one man, the first man, can be healed by this. This messenger comes and he puts all this energy into this water, and one man can be healed. And Yeshua reaches out his hand. Doesn't even reach out his hand. Rise, take up your bed and walk. That's it. That's all he's got to do. And in Lystra, verse 8, there was sitting a certain man disabled in his feet, a cripple from his mother's womb, who had never walked. This one heard Shaul speaking, who looked intently at him, and seeing that he had believed to be healed, said with a loud voice, Stand upright on your feet. And he sprang up and began to walk. This is the belief, man. You can't heal somebody who doesn't have this belief. This one heard Shaul speaking, who looking intently at him, this man is sitting there staring. He doesn't know what to say. He doesn't know how to say it. He's just begging Shaul to call on him and heal him. Excuse me. Seeing that he had belief to be healed. Many don't have the belief. Many do not have the belief. Said with a loud voice, Stand upright on your feet. And he sprang up and began to walk. And when the crowd saw what Shaul had done, they lifted up their voices, saying in Luconian, The mighty ones have become like men and come down to us. So they think that their false gods, their small g false gods that Yahuwah made, are these men. They think that these men are small g gods, which they are, but not the gods that they think they are. They're John 10:34 and Psalms 82:6 small g gods. Okay? Sons of Elohim. Not the same son of Elohim, but children of Elohim, with the authority over these demons. And these are Greek gods, Zeus and Hermes. And they called Barnabas Zeus and Shaul Hermes, since he was the chief speaker. So who these gods are, Zeus and Hermes, don't know, don't care. But they're trying to, they start calling them these. And they think that, they don't believe that men can do this. They have no understanding of how this is even possible, because they don't know Elohim. They're just delusional at this point, and they need to be taught about Elohim and the Master Yeshua HaMashiach. And the priests of Zeus, being in front of their city, brought oxen and wreath to the gates and wished to offer with the crowd. So, because they have these gods in Greece, each god has its priest. You know what I mean? Just like there's priests of Elohim, there's priests of other gods. You know, like other religions have priests. I don't know what they're called in Hindu or Islam, but there's priests in other religions. And these priests thinking it'd be like, you know, if we start, you know, if we, which we can, go heal people, raise people from the dead, say walk to the lame, this is like a sheep coming up and offering wreaths and oxen, because he thinks that we're from Allah, you know. And it's like, nope, just Yeshua HaMashiach. And so there's deep confusion now. And when the emissaries, Barnabas and Shaul, heard this, they tore their garments and ran in among the crowd, crying out. They are upset, they're grieved, they tear their garments. They're very, very upset, and they know this is very, very wrong, and saying, "Men, why are you doing this? We also are men with the same nature as you, bringing to you the good news, to turn from these worthless matters to the living Elohim, who made the heaven and the earth and the sea and all that is in them. To turn from these worthless matters." Worthless matters. This wreath, these oxen, worthless matters. Zeus, worthless matters. Wreaths. What the F is wreaths? Does anybody know what a wreath is? Like, does anybody recall seeing a wreath associated with any holiday, any day that people claim Yeshua, they claim Jesus, they say this day is about Jesus and we're going to put a wreath on our door because of it? And the priests of Zeus, being in front of their city, brought oxen and wreaths to the gates and wished to offer with the crowds. And when the emissaries Barnabas and Shaul heard this, they tore their garments and ran in among the crowds, crying out and saying, "Men, why are you doing this? We are also men with the same nature as you, bringing to you the good news, to turn from these worthless matters to the living Elohim, who made the heaven and the earth and the sea and all that is in them, who in past generations allowed all the nations to walk in their own ways, though indeed he did not leave himself without witness, doing good, giving us rain from heaven and fruit-bearing seasons, filling our hearts with food and gladness." Okay, we're going to go to Exodus 20:11 and Psalm 146:6, because that's where these are from. We're very familiar with Exodus 20:11. We're very familiar with Exodus because Exodus 20, that's the 10 Commandments. You all know these. Especially number 4, remember the Sabbath day to set it apart. 6 days you labor and shall do all your work. This is verse 8. But the 7th day is a Sabbath of Yahweh your Elohim. You do not do any work, you nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your cattle, nor your sojourner who is within your gates. For in 6 days Yahweh made the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and rested the seventh day. Therefore Yahweh blessed the Sabbath day and set it apart. What Paul just quoted, Exodus 20:11, saying, therefore Yahweh blessed the Sabbath day and set it apart, that same verse, are we to keep the Sabbath and deny the wreaths? Is that what Paul's saying here? Did Paul say that? Did Paul say that on behalf of Yeshua HaMashiach? On behalf of Yahweh Elohim? Is that what he's saying? Who in past generations, listen to this, in past generations allowed the nations to walk in their own ways, though indeed he did not leave himself without witness, doing good, giving us rain from heaven, and fruit-bearing seasons, filling our hearts with food and gladness. So, Yahweh is so forgiving and lovingly committed, loves his children so much, we all are his children, not all will be his children, but we all can be his children, who in past generations allowed all the nations to walk in their own ways. So, look, you guys, you don't know Elohim. Israel's the chosen people. Y'all do what you do. Walk in righteousness. Cornelius, before he knew of Messiah, was found righteous. Now there was a certain man in Caesarea called Cornelius, a captain of what was, this Acts 10, was called the Italian regiment, dedicated and fearing Elohim, with all his household, doing many kind deeds to the people and praying to Elohim always. So he doesn't know Yeshua, but he fears Elohim, does many kind deeds to the people, prays to Elohim. He's a good leader to men, and he is righteous. Even the Israelites, Moses doesn't really know. So, trying to make the point here. Who's the other man that is not, doesn't actually know El, but is righteous before El? Nebuchadnezzar is a good example. Koresh. But he's saying the perfection that is in the world. You see the rain come, you don't know where it comes from. The seasons, the fact that we have food, the fact that we have joy in our heart, gladness. These are witnesses of him. We also are going to go to Psalm 146:6. We're going to read all of Psalm 146. Praise Yah, O my being. Praise Yah, praise Yahuwah, O my being. While I live, I praise Yahuwah. I sing praises to my Elohim while I exist. Do not put your trust in princes. In a son of man in whom is no deliverance. His spirit goes out, he returns to his earth. In that day his plans perish. Blessed is he who has the El of Jacob for his help, whose expectancy is in YHWH his Elohim, maker of the heavens and earth, the sea and all that is in them, who is guarding truth forever, doing right ruling for the oppressed, giving bread to the hungry. YHWH releases those who are bound. YHWH opens the eyes of the blind. YHWH raises those who are bowed down. YHWH loves the righteous. YHWH guards the sojourners. He lifts up the fatherless and the widow, but the way of the wrong ones he turns upside down. YHWH reigns forever, O Sion. Your Elohim to all generations, praise Yah. Maker of the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them. We know that from Genesis. This has an A and a B from these verses. It's telling us to go to Acts 17:30. I'm going to read. I don't like going ahead. We're not going to read that right now. We will go to Matthew 5:45 though. We'll come back to that. We'll come back to 14. Matthew 5:45. Starting at 44. But I say to you, love your enemies, bless those cursing you, you do good to those hating you, and pray for those insulting you and persecuting you, so that you become sons of your Father in the heavens, because he makes his sun rise on the wicked and on the good, and sends rain on the righteous and on the unrighteous. Sends rain on the righteous and on the unrighteous. Man, that Father, because he makes his sun rise on the wicked and on the good. That's Sermon on the Mount. Sermon on the Mount. But that's an example of the righteousness of Elohim. And that's kind of the point. Yah keeps the world turning. He's so much greater than that, but he does that for us. Even with these words, they still had difficulty in stopping the crowds from offering to them. So they tell them that this is wrong. We're here to stop stuff like this. And the people, they're just not getting it. They're not no, here, take my wreath. But Yehudim arrived from Antioch and Iconium, and having won over the crowds, they stoned Shaul and dragged him out of the city, thinking he was dead. So this man gets stoned almost to death. And they come from Greece and Iconium into Lycaonia, and they start, they probably are saying something like, these men won't take your gifts. They're not really gods. Kill them. They're false prophets. And almost to death. But while the taught ones gathered around him, he rose up and went into the city. And on the next day, he went away with Barnabas to Derbe. So just takes a couple apostles, and they're like, give life to these dry bones. But while the taught ones gathered around him, he rose up and went into the city. And on the next day, he went away with Barnabas to Derbe. And having brought the good news to that city, and having made many taught ones, they returned to Lystra and Iconium and Antioch, strengthening the beings of the taught ones, encouraging them to continue in the belief, and that through many pressures we have to enter the reign of Elohim. We have to enter the reign of Elohim. It's just a run-on sentence there. It's a lot, man. Once we get into the epistles, there's whole chapters that are one sentence, so... strengthening the beings of the taught ones, encouraging them to continue in the belief, and that through many pressures we have to enter the reign of Elohim. Praise Yahweh. Fill this room with your Ruach HaKodesh, your Holy Spirit, Father, Yah. If there's anything unclean, send it away.
and having appointed elders in every assembly, having prayed with fasting, they committed them to the master in whom they had believed. Prayed with fasting. Not the first time we've seen this, not the last time we'll see this. This should have been said a long time ago. Matthew 17, "20. And Yeshua said to them, because of your unbelief, for truly I say to you, if you have belief that as a mustard seed, you shall say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it shall move, and no matter shall be impossible for you. But this kind does not go out except through prayer and fasting." And Yeshua rebuked the demon, and he came out of him, and the child was healed from that hour. So, Yeshua rebukes demons after fasting and prayer. Fasting and prayer. They set up the assembly, appoint elders, fast, pray, committed them to the master in whom they had believed. And it keeps saying this because this is written as a testimony for, this is like an opening statement, a witness for Paul. Having passed through Pisidia, they came to Pamphylia, and having spoken the word in Perge, they went down to Attalia, and from there they sailed to Antioch, where they had been committed to the favor of Elohim for the work which they had completed. Where they had been committed to the favor of Elohim for the work they had committed. So, which they had completed. And so, this is interesting. Not because I have no idea where these cities are, but because they had been committed to the favor of Elohim for the work which they had completed. Encouraging them to continue
in the belief, and that through many pressures we have to enter the reign of Elohim, and having appointed elders in every assembly, having prayed with fasting, they committed them to the master in whom they had believed. And having passed through Pisidia, they came to Pamphylia, and having spoken the word in Perge, they went down to Attalia, and from there they sailed to Antioch, where they had been committed to the favor of Elohim for the work which they had completed. This reads as though this is really where Elohim says, you're mine. Up until now, they'd been doing works of Elohim, but this reads as though he didn't trust them, which is very telling to me because, and we're going deeper into Job. There's still 8 chapters left in Job, 10 chapters left in Job, 8, whatever. But the trust of Elohim is something that I've been very curious about. And this reads that Paul almost had to be stoned to death and then brought back to life in order for him to be committed in the favor of Elohim. And boy, if you're going to tell me that it ain't by works, you're dumb wrong, and you ain't read this book. Literally, it says right there. They had been committed to the favor of Elohim for the work which they had completed. And having arrived, and having gathered together the assembly, they related all that Elohim had done with them, and that he had opened the door of belief to the nations. And they remained there a long time with the taught ones.
Doors open. Walk through.